T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we are back for week 4. Brian, how'd you do on your picks this week?
It was above average, so it was pretty good. Now that we're getting into week 4, we have a lot of more data points. It's hard to create a trend off of 1 to 2 games. So now that we have 4 weeks of data, it's now getting a lot better. So yeah.
It's
how about you? How do you go against the spread?
Hey, this was my week, especially if the 49ers can hold this 2.5. I get 12 picks against the spread, feeling good. Been hovering around 500, so now I can take that leap. And kind of like you said, the first couple of weeks is a lot of just going off your gut and vibes, and sometimes that doesn't work well. So getting a little bit better of a feel for it. So go Birds! What's up, Dunk? So with that said, we definitely have a lot to cover this week, so we're going to jump right into it. And starting out, we had some unfortunately pretty impactful running back injuries, starting with one of everyone's favorite, Javonte Williams. And, we were in our notes, we were talking about, do we start with Melvin Gordon, how we feel about him, Mike Boone, maybe he's the guy, but not so fast. Lee Corso, my friends.
Hey, go Knowles.
Yeah, that's right. They just signed Latavius Murray off the Saints practice squad, which is hysterical because yesterday he rushed 11 times for 57 yards and a touchdown for the Saints. That's a massive move for your waivers. Melvin Gordon, I think, is still going to likely get the first crack at it, but I think it's going to immediately jump into another backfield share. I'm thinking 30% of your fab? What 40%, 50? Like what are you thinking, Brian, for he's got to be the number one waiver addition? Do you think you're going crazy high or fading him? What do you think?
I think it all depends on your team and your needs. Mm-hmm. I think if you had Javonte, if you have Cordarrelle Patterson, if you have even Jonathon Taylor, I think 30% isn't bad. Honestly, I lost out on on Dobbs for I had over 30%. Wow. And so I think if you really want someone, I think 30% is kind of that benchmark that you hit.
Yeah, and especially with Boone, right? Did not look good yesterday.
He looked horrific.
Yeah. And Melvin Gordon, right? What does he have? 4 fumbles already? So he's not really playing himself into the good graces of Hackett. I mean, whatever that means. But he's got to be the top guy. But you just mentioned him, Cordarrelle Patterson. Where are we going with the Falcons?
I feel like we talk about the Falcons backfield every week, and it's driving me nuts. Me too. But I think you have to go with the BYU Cougar and Tyler Algier. He had 10 carries and he had 8 routes, which is not a whole lot, but is a lot for this Falcons offense. It was the same as Olamide Zaccheaus. So he's seeing the receiving work. The weird name that's popped up is Caleb Huntley. I had to look up who this was. Again, you and I being dynasty people, we think we know everyone, and then Caleb Huntley appears. And he also had 10 carries. So this is looking to be a run-first team. They had less than 20 pass attempts. This is not a great offense to be associated with, but at least they're rushing the ball more than they're passing it. So I think if Algier is available for you, I think that is a sneaky big waiver ad. And then I think if you want, I'm not sure I'd waste fab on him, but Caleb Huntley, or if you want to put 2-3%, Caleb Huntley is a sneaky ad just because this offense is just going to be so run heavy.
Unfortunately, Dunk, you can just use a calculator for that. You decimal points and stuff. We can talk in the DMs later if you need some help with that. But Yeah. By the way, good for us. We kind of hammered Algier in week 1, but we've turned the corner on him.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's fantasy football, right? You gotta
be
change
water
with times. Yep. And the third big name, Jonathon Taylor. The news today was kind of good. It sounds like he avoided a major issue, more of a lower ankle than an upper ankle, which is huge, especially for running backs. But it is a short week, so it's still very up in the air. If I can't imagine they want to rush him back for Thursday, but the Colts are also like not good, so they kind of need him. But if for any reason he doesn't play, Hines, I personally don't think his role will change all that much. He will get a slight bump for sure, just based on kind of play time, but he's not really an every down banger. They did use him a little bit like that in the preseason, but that's also the preseason. Historically, when he's been there and the lead back has gone down, I think he's bumped up. I forget who tweeted it out, so I'm stealing the content. I apologize. Up to like 8 carries and then 8 targets a game. So he does see a slight bump, but you're really looking at Deion Jackson, who should, in theory, walk in to the main rusher role. I know it's not great. Or even a deeper sleeper, Philip Lindsay on their practice squad. Again, this is more of a wait to see what happens tomorrow before you're placing your waivers for Wednesday. But I don't really love any of them. Out of the 3, I would probably stick with Hines because we know he has at least pass catching capabilities. I wouldn't spend a crazy fab on either one, just especially because Taylor sounds like more of a short-term injury.
Yeah, I would definitely prioritize the Falcons and Broncos backfield over this one. So this is a backfield to monitor if you miss out on those Broncos and Falcons guys. So, okay, next into not injury-related news, we're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars and their running back committee. So Travis Etienne and James Robinson. So Etienne actually outsnapped Robinson this week. It is very narrow, but 24 snaps to 21. He also had more routes. He ran 14 compared to Robinson's 9. So I think this is going to be difficult to predict every week because these Jaguars are a lot better than people predict they are. So I think it's going to be hard to predict if they're going to be in a positive or negative game script. But I think it's like a safer version of, if you remember the Washington football team a few years ago with Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson, that you played Adrian Peterson if they were going to win, and you played Chris Thompson if they were going to lose. So I think Etienne's the guy to play if they're going to lose, because very quickly that lead erased that the Jaguars had against a very good Eagles team. So they were playing from behind for most of the game. So Etienne got a lot of the run, but the previous games, the Jaguars have somehow been in control. So Robinson's been taking a lot of those snaps. So for the answer for these guys is it depends.
Yeah, it's that, honestly though, like the Jags, I'm just happy that they're doing well after the debacle of what last year was. So good for them.
Urban Meyer was so bad.
he was brutal. But yeah, moving along. Alan Lazard, the first game back was gross. Remember, like everyone got 3 targets. It was like just a nightmare. But these last 2 weeks, he is really seeing better and better increased usage, from 6 targets last week and 8 targets yesterday. Went 6 for 116. I gotta say, like I wasn't able to like really sit down and watch the full game, but their offense looks pretty gross, to be honest. But with that said, I think they're going to figure it out. It's just, that's kind of Aaron Rodgers. Like, just have faith in back-to-back MVP and just Aaron Rodgers, who's a great quarterback. I think his usage and Lazard's usage is going to just skyrocket as they figure out their offense a little bit better. Unfortunately, this is not someone that you're going to go get off waivers unless you're crazy lucky. But I guess as a quick side note is Dobbs. He also had 8 targets yesterday. The touchdown helped him because he only had 47 reception yards. But if either of them are going to be available, it's going to be him. But it's kind of funny looking at the rostership. He's 70% rostered on Yahoo, 74% on Sleeper, but only 46% on ESPN. So
if you are in an ESPN league and Dobbs is not available, is available, shame on you. If you didn't watch the game, he dropped a touchdown too. He dropped like a 40-yard touchdown. So Dobbs, I think was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We were like, if there's anyone that's worth investing in, it's Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's anyone that I would bet on having a second half of the season like the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think it's Dobbs. And so I would be trying to trade for him in your casual redraft league because I think he might go nuclear here soon.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to be more available because he doesn't, not like Lazard has name recognition, but slightly more than him as the incumbent. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I messaged someone about him last week, and they said, "Oh, I didn't even realize he was on my team." So, yeah,
love it.
So next, I have David Njoku, which I thought this was going to be kind of a down week, and I was very surprised. He followed up last week with a 5 receptions for a 73-yard line on 7 targets. So they're still looking for him, which I thought I got tricked out by Coach Speak saying that we were just going to take what the coverage gave us. And it looks like they actually might be targeting Njoku more than they say. The one person that did suffer from this was Amari Cooper, which that was very frustrating.
The locust.
But we have seen Njoku steadily increase his usage every week. So if he's available, I think he's actually a pretty good play. He's seeing a baseline of 3 to 4 targets, and I think his ceiling is actually fairly high for a tight end who's available in over like just about 40% of leagues.
Yeah, and that's actually someone, just to pat ourselves on the back a little bit, we talked about him in our Scott Fishbowl previews, and looking at Brissett, he basically supported 1 wide receiver and 1 tight end pretty well throughout his playing career. And so far it's looking like, especially these past 2 weeks, he's starting to develop that connection with Njoku. So for 40% of the leagues, tight end is gross. He's definitely a good add in that sense.
This Cleveland offense actually looks good.
Yeah.
So
wild.
Yeah, I don't know. It's get tight ends and good offenses, and apparently that means Cleveland.
No one expected that with Brissett under center. But moving along, I have the note for Antonio Gibson. This is now back-to-back weeks under 45% snap share. Now, the last 2 games, game script hasn't been ideal for him, which definitely plays a part in it. But regardless, his usage is really trending in the wrong direction. And now Brian Robinson's expected to be activated. So that's just another possible nail in the coffin. And it's the weird thing is, if you look at his touches, they don't look terrible. He's right around 14, 15, anywhere 13 to 21 touches a game, which is fine where you drafted him, but his rushing is just so inefficient. I think he's rushing for 3 yards a carry. And now he's not getting the passing game work. So if he can't rush efficiently, he can't really catch passes. And now Brian Robinson's back to take some of that early down role. It's tough. And the only reason he even looks as good as he does, if you look at his overall standing, is because he has 4 touchdowns. So you take away even 1 or 2 of those, and it's rough. So realistically, if you were going to try and move him, it would have been after week 2 or week 3. At this point, you may just be SOL, and you might just be on your roster. And I don't know if there's anything you can do with him because it's not looking pretty, and the future doesn't look good for him, his usage either.
Yeah. Next, I have a real quick note on Noah Brown. So he is now the 4th option in this Dallas offense with Gallup and Dalton Schultz back. I think you have an opportunity right now to sell him for I don't know what, but if you need tight end help and if someone has Dobbs and you want to try and do Noah Brown plus something else, I think that's a very smart pick, because this offense, let's be honest, with Cooper Rush, it's not going to be fantastic. It's going to be serviceable, and we'll probably win games with that defense. But I think there's better people to have on your roster right now. Just with Gallup back, I think Gallup's going to steal a lot of his targets. CeeDee Lamb is obviously the one, and Dalton Schultz gets his fair share. So having the fourth option on a not great offense is kind of clutter on your roster.
Yeah, and it's funny because you look at some of the stats and you're like, ooh, Noah Brown, it looks good. And then we dig a little bit deeper and yeah, definitely you lose some. Next up, Breece Hall. Yeah, I think it's Hall time. He's now outsnapped Carter. He outsnapped Carter 49-29, 19 rushes to Carter's 9. He ran 25 routes to Carter's 14. Right. Just that's what we were hoping for. That's what we were hoping to see, is that him really taking over that role. The pass volume is down with Wilson back, but he did play 73% of the snaps. And so the volume should help offset some of that, the pass volume decreasing. This is definitely, if it's already not too late, your last week to go get him and trade for him before he fully cements himself. If the Jets are going to be playing from behind, and if he's going to be getting the lion's share of the passing volume too, on top of the rushing share, he's going to be the guy to get. So if you can go get him now.
Yeah. I think it's a week too late. Honestly, I think
yep. I agree, but you might be able to convince somebody in your casual league.
Yeah.
You might.
Next, I have someone that I wrote down as a positive. And then as I did more research, I was like, oh, no.
This one made me sad.
So Gerald Everett. So he's currently the tight end 5 in PPR leagues. So you think, oh, great. But his peripherals are not really matching that. He's 11th in tight end routes run. He's 10th in targets per route run and 11th in tight end or in target share for tight ends. The only really number he has going for him is that he has an elite jersey number.
It matters.
But I really expected to have those numbers be a lot higher with Keenan Allen missing time. I feel like right now he's kind of playing at his ceiling, and I don't think Gerald Everett's a buy anywhere. I think he's either a hold or sell. I might be leaning more towards hold just because I think we're seeing his ceiling and he hasn't stabilized yet. But it's not as promising as I expected. I don't know. He really does have like a good floor, but I think just seeing those peripherals, I just don't think his ceiling is much higher than this, and I don't think this is sustainable.
Yeah, I think the only thing I might not push back, but Herbert, right, especially last week, was just so banged up that, maybe as Herbert gets healthy, even with Keenan Allen, their offense gets better. So he has the red zone opportunities. But yeah, you hope for better for what he is. But again, tight end on a good offense.
Yeah,
I think I agree with you. He's a hold. But I definitely wouldn't go out and try to spend up for him right now. Yeah. All right. So quick hits, and I will move real quick through this. I just want to highlight a couple of guys. Rashad White, he matched Fournette in rush attempts, which sounds great, but that was only 3 each yesterday. So that's insane. And 5 targets to Fournette's 7. So he's not outplaying Fournette, but he's starting to get a more noticeable role in that offense. The touchdown yesterday does help prop up what his, eventual ending score was, but last night was a good sign, even though play, game script and stuff adds to it. This could be a sign to come, and someone to look out for. Maybe if you have a deeper bench, you add him a week early, because maybe if he takes over, you're not going to get him. Next up, Michael Gallup is just straight out from JJ Zacharyson. Love his work. So in his first game back, ran the second most routes, 2 more than Noah Brown, and 10 less snaps. And that's his first game back from tearing his ACL. Those numbers are going to go up. And again, once Dak comes back, he's going to be your guy. So he's not crazy rostered. He's under 50% in ESPN and Yahoo, and 59% in Sleeper. So he's still pretty available for you to go get and go add before he starts to take off. Josh Reynolds is looking pretty legit in that Detroit offense, even if with Amon-Ra, if he comes back this week, he's starting to become pretty fantasy viable, especially in your flex role. Robert Woods, 65% on ESPN, 63 on Yahoo, 68 on Sleeper. So maybe not available, but if he is, definitely go grab him. He is the top option in that Titans offense. That's what you want. And the last guy I want to talk about, Daniel Bellinger. He's not a priority ad, but he's someone to keep an eye out for in the tight end role. He's a rookie tight end. We know rookie tight ends historically don't do well, but the Giants pass catchers are just zero. There's nothing there. Like he was a top target earner yesterday with 3 targets. Like this shit is insane. It's awful,
man.
But tight ends are gross. And again, it's a tight end, and if he's the top option there, he might be worth an ad. So now to our Robbie Anderson of the Week award.
Oh wait, there's one thing I wanted to point out, and I tweeted this out because I thought it was significant that we had written down. We did have a few rookies start this week or get there. No, I still call Wilson a rookie.
He feels like a rookie.
But the one thing that I thought was significant is with Pickett starting in the second half, George Pickens finally took off. So I think if he's available, like it might be a really buy low right now, and I might be jumping at a really small amount of data. But him and Pat Freiermuth both had 4 targets in that second half. So that's big. And also, if it's a Pickett to Pickens thing there in Pittsburgh, is it going to be renamed Pittsburgh?
I mean, he'll probably throw a few too. So,
wow, yeah, true.
It fits. It fits for sure. And hey, actually, talking about Freiermuth real quick, we know tight ends are rookie quarterbacks like best friends, so that could actually be really good news for the Muth. So yeah, no, good call getting that in there. All right, so our Robbie Anderson of the Week award. We've been doing these a little bit different this year, and this week might be our best one yet. So we have a combo of Arthur Smith for refusing to use Kyle Pitts, dunce. Cliff Kingsbury in general is a dunce, but refusing to run man defense against Baker, who's currently completing 30% of his man passes. Like, what are you doing in coverage? And then just Matt Rule for like existing and like, not to talk about another man's job, but like Matt Rule, you got to go, man. I'm sorry. It's not working. The Panthers are a travesty. All three of them. Congrats.
TJ Ward. It was Broncos Super Bowl champ. He tweeted out saying that like he just even commented the coaching is terrible. Like, I will fully acknowledge I never have played a snap of football in my life. I am just really good at numbers, and so I like to say that like I don't know better than these coaches. I don't know better than these players. But it's really hard to be confident in that anymore with how dumb some of these coaching decisions are.
Yeah.
And I might just be a really frustrated Broncos fan.
Yeah.
But it seems like common sense just leaves the stadium with a lot of these coaches.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it's been a nightmare for a lot of coaches, and even yesterday, Harbaugh, who is a pretty good coach, made a pretty weird decision at the end of the game. So
don't criticize that. Oh, that's numbers, man. That's numbers, man. No.
Those are bad numbers. You got to know the game. There it is. All right. So, Brian, you know the deal. Animal fact.
Zebras are black with white stripes.
I thought they're white with black stripes.
No, they are black with white stripes.
I've been lied to my whole life.
Oh, the other fact, it's bonus this week since we went extra long, because I thought about it with the Thursday night game being the white Bengal Tiger jerseys, that the gene for white coat color is linked with being cross-eyed. So white Bengal Tigers are somewhat cross-eyed. So
love that.
So yeah,
good for them.
Maybe not the best thing to represent.
Just that's why if Joey B ever throws a pick in white, you blame it on the vision.
Yeah, he's cross-eyed.
All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping in week 4. See you back in another week. Go 49ers. Cover this damn spread. Help me win some money. Peace.
Adios.